Welcome back to the John Fourcade Show, sponsored each week by Veterans Ford. Another one of our John Fourcade specials this week, a 2016 Ford Escape, $19,900. Again, a 2016 Ford Escape, $19,900. Come on down to Veterans Ford. Come on, man. They won't turn down a deal. We're back here on the John Fourcade Show. John, one of the things that the most disappointing team in the NFC, it's got to be the Philadelphia Eagles. Saints catch them now. One thing I will say, if the Eagles don't get off to a good start, those fans are going to turn on that football team and Chip Kelly real quickly. Both 1-3 at this stage. The Saints have been 5-1 versus the Eagles since 2006, and that includes their first ever away playoff victory. So, you know, this is an interesting football game with two teams that have struggled, but the NFC South, man, it's either feast or famine. And the Panthers and the Falcons both 4-0, and the Bucs and the Saints 1-3. So when you look at it, man, you can't afford many losses left because of what you see with Carolina. Atlanta, a hot football team, and finding ways to win other than just with Julio Jones, Matt Ryan. They're running the football with Devontae Freeman. Carolina, it might be ugly, but it's effective. They end up winning games on defense, running the football, and listen, the maturity of Cam Newton. You can see how well he's progressed throughout the years as a passer.
You know, as far as talking about our division with the New Orleans Saints and Tampa Bay being at 1-3, we expected Tampa Bay, didn't expect the New Orleans Saints. This time we could say the Saints could be 3-1. You would probably think Atlanta's 2-2 maybe, and maybe Carolina 2-2. You think the Saints would be at the top because people would pick them. Everybody was saying, oh, the Saints, the Saints, the Saints. But you were right about Atlanta Falcons. Ryan's playing excellent football. They're getting great play from their offensive line, and they have a refurbished offensive line. They're bringing guys in right before the season began. They cut
Bryce Harris from the Saints.
Unbelievable.
They got in.
They're getting so many players who are there helping out with the rushing attack of the Atlanta Falcons. But where are they winning football games, too, is that I've watched a couple of the games. They're winning on defense. You know, Dan Quinn comes in there with that mentality, we're going to play this style of defense, and they're playing some good football. They deserve to be where they're at because they won the games. I'm not going to take that away from Carolina. Cam Newton is a one-man wrecking machine because they don't have no receivers. They're struggling on the offensive line. They don't run the ball that great at Carolina, but they are what they are. Now, let's talk about the Eagles in this game this week. Wow. Chip Kelly, best thing since sliced bread, runs this all-college pro-style offense. It hasn't worked. The 3 years he's been in the league, Mike, it's a joke. He has not got his quarterback. You can't run that style of offense if you're from the Oregon-style offense without having a Mariota-style quarterback. Michael Vick would probably be better suited for that than these guys. You got Bradford, Bradford ain't running the football. Sanchez ain't running the football. Maybe Tim Tebow would have been a guy, but right now he pedoed some players, got rid of some players. He's got a new, fresh crew there. He's running the show. By mid-season, if he's not nowhere near the top, I'm looking for a change before the year's over.
I think one of the things to watch is that, you know, Chip's playing with house money. He can always go back to college football and get a huge salary there. What's going on in Texas could well lure Chip Kelly away from the Eagles, and he might not have to be lured. He may actually just get told he's got to go at this stage. But DeMarco Murray, and here was a guy who was a big-time performer when he was healthy with the Cowboys, one of the best running backs in the NFL. He's mere mortal behind that offensive line of the Eagles.
Well, let me ask you this question. You know, we talk about, DeMarco Murray going there, right? Well, he could have gone any other teams he wanted to. He could have picked and choose where he wanted to go. Did he go for the money? Because
he went for the money.
Went for the money because that offense is not suited for him. What he did in Dallas was a downhill runner. He wasn't a sideline to sideline, and that's what Chip Kelly's offense is basically about. They want you to run to the outside, whereas he's more of a downhill runner, maybe with the blocker in front of him. You don't see that with Philadelphia compared to Dallas. He took the money, so be happy you took the money. Now, granted, they're not using him right in Philadelphia. There'll be some heads rolling before the year's over. I think it's going to be Chip Kelly.
You know, one of the things is the former Seattle cornerbacks. And we see teams going after Byron Maxwell just like they're going after Brandon Browner. Without that pass rush, the Eagles, one of the things, they do have one stud player, and that's Fletcher Cox inside,
yes.
Former Mississippi State guy who is really a terrific football player. So it'll be interesting to see if either one of the two teams can run the ball at all on each other, because I think that's the key in this football game, turnovers and the ability to run the football.
I think the Saints are a little more healthier going into this football game. Looking at you saying running the football, I think the defense for the Eagles, they lost their linebacker, the guy they got from Buffalo. He's been down for a while. I'm not sold on their defense. What I'm really not sold on is the Eagles have 3 players on the offensive side of the football on line this week that hasn't practiced yet. Maybe the Saints defense can step into this game and say, wait a second, we're going to get some backup guys, and we've played pretty good the last couple of weeks for the New Orleans Saints defense. I see them showing up and playing better football, and I think the defense has got to step up again, and I think it's going to be a game where it could be in the high 20s, but I think the Saints defense step up again.
You know, one of the things is we saw it Monday night, controversial call in a game where KJ Wright, another former Mississippi State guy, bats the ball out of bounds. It's not caught by the referee who's standing 5 feet away, looking right at him, and doesn't make the call at all.
Right at him.
And then, you know, the head of NFL officiating says, well, it's a non-reviewable call anyway. My thing about it is, John, and these type of things, that goes to show some of the ridiculousness of the rules of the NFL, where you didn't catch it on the field, but even if you threw it to the booth, they couldn't have changed it because you couldn't make the change.
Here's my point. Batting the football, so what? That has got nothing. So you can bat the football to go out of bounds. It has nothing to do with the game. And I mean, who cares? Batting the ball should not be a penalty in my book. So what if a guy bats the football? It's not that big of an issue. You know as well that the game's over with. That ball is going out of bounds. All he did was help assist it going out of bounds by batting. What happened if he'd have just ran into the ball and kind of accidentally kicked it or bumped it out of bounds? Would they have you call that batting it? No, it had no outcome of the game, but it's a rule in the rule book. They missed it. Now, I understand what people are saying, well, it didn't determine the game. It really didn't determine the game, but if you got to go by the rules and you're an official, like if a guy jumps off sides or you don't call it and it's at the end of the game, you can get in trouble for that because you didn't call the penalty because he jumped off side. Well, the game's already over with, and that's my point is, should they look at that? Now, my other point is, Mike, and maybe you can respond to this, is we got to start having reviews where you can throw your flag and let them review that and say, I got my coach's review. I want to see if he batted that football. Yes, he did. Okay, now you want the review. Why not have one per team for just that, reviewing a penalty?
Other thing, too, is they talked about throwing this back to New York, or at the center where you could really take a good look at it. Well, that would have been the perfect shot to do that sort of thing. They got 5,000 cameras for Monday Night Football to do it. And so, again, it goes back to way too many rules. And officials now, I think, depending on crews, and we see it today, we're talking about this Monday night, 26 penalties in one game, and then 9 on another game. So that's individual crews now that feel as though they want to be a part of the game, and they don't want the heavy-handedness of the defensive backs. And you see more and more. You saw it in the Saints against Cowboys.
And real quickly on the batting of the football, the only time you really see it is on an onside kick. If somebody bats it, whatever it may be. How many times have you seen it really being called? No. The Ole Miss Alabama game, Alabama kid batted the onside kick up the field and they recovered. Nobody called that. But overall, they got some changes to be made. And matter of fact, Roger Goodell talked about it, about reviewing. You know,
they got to simplify. They got to simplify this. Even KJ Wright didn't understand the rule, and he was the one who batted it out of bounds. Pete Carroll said it too. Like I think Pete might not have, to be honest. More with the John Fourcade Show right after this break here.